Coming up on this week's show, we'll be taking to the streets of Cork to ask people their opinions on Brexit.
It could be good, but I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
After the break, we'll be telling you about Irish TV's latest competition, and we'll be seeing all there is to offer on the second day of the award-winning Charleville Show. But first, we're off to Millstreet to meet with Nicole Ryan to find out more about the Legal Highs, Lethal Lows campaign. Hello and welcome to Cork County Matters, the weekly show that brings you news and stories from Cork City and County. Earlier this year, 18-year-old Alex Ryan from County Cork died from a heart attack after taking a synthetic drug known as the N-Bomb. Alex's sister Nicole launched a new drug awareness campaign called Legal Highs, Lethal Lows in an effort to educate younger people about the dangers of synthetic drugs. We're about to meet Nicole at her home in Millstreet to find out more about her brother as well as the campaign. Nicole, thanks a million for meeting with us today. You've started a campaign called Legal Highs, Lethal Lows. Can you tell me a little bit about the campaign and why you got involved with it?
So the Legal Highs, Legal Lows campaign I kind of started because of the death of my brother. He took a synthetic drug back in January, and 5 days later, as a result, he passed away. And myself, I wouldn't have known very much about synthetic drugs essentially, and I don't think a lot of the young people especially, but the general public wouldn't know much about them either. And you know, they're essentially, the campaign is Legal Highs, Lethal Lows, meaning that they have the exact same effect as big drugs like cocaine and heroin. They have the exact same outcome, you know, but people are still unaware. And even after Alex's death, which was a big wake-up call to the nation, there are still people dying from synthetic drugs. So I thought, you know, we have posters about, you know, don't drink, don't drive. We have posters about don't do heroin, don't do cocaine, all these kind of stuff. But we don't have a lot of information about synthetic drugs. We've started talking about it, but you know, talking is one thing, but doing is another. So that's why I started the campaign and initially started the poster. You never think it's going to happen to you. You always hear it in the stories and you always hear it in the news, but you never expected that it'll be you, that you would be in that position. You know, he was smart, but I suppose he was uneducated and he was 18 years of age. I mean, I can tell you all these stupid stories as the stupid things that I've done when I was 18 and we could laugh about them, but I'm still here today and he's not. He just, you know, there's many teenagers, especially in Cork, there's a statistic that 90% of teenagers and young people, young adults who are in college, of college going age, do drugs recreationally or, you know, have experimented, and I suppose he just tried it, you know, that was it. He tried it and it cost him his life.
He was out with a group of people, but they thought that they were getting something else.
That's exactly it. You don't know what you're getting. Nobody knows what they're getting. You know, these drugs, synthetic drugs, people assume that they're made synthetically. You know, they're made by people who know what they're doing, and they're only, you know, creating these drugs to mimic the effects of heroin and cocaine and all these other big drugs. But you know, you got to think of what they're putting into these drugs to mimic such an effect. And you know, they think that, you know, they're just pretend, and they don't have any bad side effects or anything like that. And essentially, yeah, they were looking for a 2CP drug, and what they got was a more chemically produced, potent version of the 2CP family, which was the N-Bomb. He had suffered a cardiac arrest when he was found. He then had to be resuscitated for 20 minutes, and then he was taken to CUH. He then, on the Thursday, I believe, suffered, and he was going into cardiac arrest again. He was on the cusp of death, but he didn't die that day. He just fought on again. Yeah.
And are hospitals in Ireland, are they equipped to deal with the repercussions of synthetic drugs, or is it very new to them too?
That's the problem. It is new to them. Like, then they treated Alex as if he was one of their own children. You know, they did such a fantastic job. I couldn't credit them enough. But, you know, that's the problem with synthetic drugs. How can you treat someone if you don't know what they've taken? You know, you can give them something and it might counteract and kill them faster, you know, and they don't know the ingredients. Nobody knows the ingredients, and so it's very hard to treat someone when they are in hospital if they've taken synthetic drugs.
And that must have been extremely difficult for you as well. Like, did you have any information about like what happened when you got to the hospital?
It was all over the news and it was all over the papers, and you know, we were like, everybody knew who we were because we were sitting in that waiting room, and it was constantly on the news and constantly on the papers and constantly online. Every day there was something new, a new story, and these videos and things like that, you know, and you can't escape it. You obviously look at it, we obviously looked at it and read the comments and all these kind of things, and people have their own opinions, and that's fine, you know. At the end of the day, we knew the kind of person he was, and his friends knew the kind of person he was, and you know, all the people here at home knew what he was like. So those are the only opinions that truly, truly matter, you know. The only thing that kind of gives us a little bit of consolation, you know, is that we made him an organ donor, and you know, he saved for other people's lives. He gave them a second chance that he could never ever have himself. And that kind of gives us a little bit of peace. Since his death, I suffered mentally, kind of. I never had any mental issues, never did I ever think in my life I'd be affected by it, but I was, and I'd suffer panic attacks, you know, talking about Alex, like I'm talking to you about him. Mm-hmm. I would never have talked about him, not within the first month, definitely. Even to hear his name, I'd say no, just don't talk to me about it. I'd get really angry. And then to talk about him for more than 2 minutes, I'd start suffering a panic attack, and I'd have to, after a while I had to take medication for it. But now it's kind of getting easier because I talk about him more and more and more, and it's kind of the cause and the cure, you know. And you know, he fought in that hospital bed for his life, and he fought with everything he had. And essentially now I just fight for him, you know. I continue that fight, but I do it now instead of him. Something good and something positive can come out of such a tragedy, and you know, it helps me cope with his death. I don't think I'll accept it for a long, long time, but I can talk more openly about it. I can share my experiences, and I can, you know, share it with other people and maybe help those people as well in the process, you know. Alex was such a great person. He was always such a helping person, and he never looked for gratitude for anything he did. He did it out of the kindness of his heart, and you know, it's just a shame that he's not here anymore, but something good come out of his name, you know. He doesn't have to be just another 18-year-old that passed away after a silly mistake.
How has it been for his friends?
It's been hard for his friends. You know, his best friend Lauren made a bench for him down in the park, and she placed it there, you know. She made it for him. She was his best friend in the world, and they did everything together. It's been hard on her, it's been hard on all his close friends that he lived with, all the people that he met, you know. There's still people that would message me and stuff online, on Facebook, and would just tell me little stories about him. And people I don't know, wouldn't have known, you know. They were like, oh, well, Alex did this for us one time, you know. And, you know, he was a nice person, and he just didn't care of what your background situation was, anything like that. It didn't matter to him. It just mattered that, you know, he could make you smile. It's kind of the little things. I used to always think that it would be the big things that would make me, you know, break down and cry and kind of things about Alex, you know, like looking at his pictures, stuff like that. But no, it's the little things, like the day I graduated, which was last October. He came to my graduation, he was working, and then he came to my graduation and he wore his best shirt, which is debatable, but it was his best shirt. And he looked so nice, and he made such an effort, and he was so proud of me that day, but we never got a picture of that moment, you know, because I never thought that I would never ever again get moments like that with him. And, you know, now I realize that there's many things I won't get with him, you know. There's many things he won't know. He won't know who I am later on in life. He won't know my children, if I have any. He won't be there to walk me down the aisle. There's just many things that have been taken away from us that he'll never have.
Hold on, is it red or square it's recording?
Sure.
Which one?
Yeah, that's recording.
Oh yeah, it's going now. Okay. You crazy swimming in this weather. Don't splash me.
Ah! It's not that cold.
Really?
I thought it would be worse. It's fine.
If you'd like to find out more about the campaign or if you'd like to support it, you can visit the GoFundMe link listed below. Our next feature focuses on Brexit, as the dust settles around the remarkable referendum that saw the majority of Great Britain voting out of the European Union. We took to the streets of Cork to find out people's opinions.
I think it was probably a bad idea. I don't know, I feel like even from social media, I feel like a lot of people are regretting it just from seeing it. I just think it's just going to affect a lot of people where they're living. Even I know where I work, and people are worried now about English people who are working here and what's going to happen in the next few years. I guess really more than anything, it's kind of worrying.
I'm not exactly sure on the whole outcome of what kind of impact it will have on Ireland. I can't imagine it will be fantastic for trading between the two islands, but obviously we've always worked kind of closely anyway over the last couple of years with England, so I'd say something will be worked out, but it's definitely something for concern, I would imagine, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think the older people from England have been misled by Nigel Farage because they want to make England great again. I think that the people that have a lot of money, a lot of wealth, have forgotten about where they've come from themselves. And basically, I think it's fear, and there is a touch, whether they like it or not, of racism, because they're all terrified that they're going to be invaded by Turkey. That's my impression.
That's all we have time for in part one, but we'll be back after the break to tell you about Irish TV's latest competition, and we'll also be visiting the award-winning Charleville Show. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to Cork County Matters. For our next feature, we'll be in Charleville, but first up, we want to tell you about Irish TV's latest competition.
Ireland's Gum Litter Task Force, in association with Irish TV and Select Hotels of Ireland, is offering 5 prizes of 2 nights bed and breakfast plus 1 evening meal from Select Hotels of Ireland. To be in with a chance to win, simply email a picture of your tidy town village with your contact details to competitions@irishtv.ie, or you can enter on Twitter and Facebook using the hashtag IrishTVGLT. Winners will be notified by July 31st. Terms and conditions apply. See www.irishtv.ie for details.
The very best of luck with all of your entries to the competition. For our next feature, we're off to the 37th annual Charleville Show. Covering over 70 acres, this is now the largest 2-day agricultural show in the country. It's a real family day out, with numerous exciting and interesting events to be seen, all justifying its selection as Show of the Year in 2013. Charleville Show contributes its success to the fact that it's community-based and that all the committee work on a voluntary basis. We caught up with their public relations officer to find out more about the great attractions.
It started, I suppose, 38 years ago by, first of all, a priest that was in Charleville. He was a father at Driscoll, and he got a group of people together and said, we must have a show in Charleville. So it started small that time in a little field near the town, and then after about 3 or 4 years that field wasn't big enough, so we got another little bigger field near it. So it's growing and growing every year, and everything that's done here is voluntary. There's no one paid, unfortunately, no one gets a bob out of it. It's all voluntary, and it works well. We're very central, and it's a window for all people that want to exhibit any type of goods. It does good entertainment here and something for everyone, and everyone enjoys it.
Charleville is geographically located at the heart of Munster, within the Golden Vale region, known as the best land in Ireland for dairy farming. So before we took off to look at all of the attractions, we wanted to find out more about the history of Charleville and the Golden Vale. We caught up with local historian and magazine publisher Michael McGrath to find out more.
Charleville was founded in 1661, and it's a relatively new town in comparison to other towns around us. For example, Malik, which is 5 miles east of us, that was founded in around 1100, so we're relatively new. Well, I suppose the advent of Golden Vale in 1948 was a huge spur to it, because up to then the population of the town in the mid-1800s was around 8,000, but then it was decimated by the famine and by immigration, and the population didn't pick up again until the advent of Golden Vale. Hence the 2-day agricultural show here, because we're dependent so much on agriculture. This is sort of a tribute to the farmers of the area.
And what a tribute it is, not only to farming, but also to tradition. The old-time crafts were a great attraction at the show, with displays such as wood turning, weaving and butter making. Younger people were delighted to witness crafts that they might never see in their lifetime, and older people were immersed in memories of times past. Also this year, the Charleville Show was proud to host the Guinness World Record attempt for sheaf tossing. The sheaf toss dates back to the medieval ages as a farming competition, and in recent years its popularity has been continuously growing from strength to strength. Charleville have been lucky to attract quality throwers from all over the country who have shown great strength and technique in this sport. In the end, a new field record with a 7-pound sheaf was set at 64 foot, but unfortunately the world record was not beaten with the 8-pound sheaf. Next, we caught up with councillor Adam Teskey to find out about what he enjoys the most about the Charleville Show.
It certainly brings in people from the wider range, even outside of Limerick and the counties that are joining us immediately. I've already spoken to people this morning from Kildare and people as far as Dublin, and also brings people down from areas like that with their commercial identities to showcase them in this particular area and region as well. So it's a brilliant show, and the people that organise this must be commended because they do everything on a voluntary basis, and what they've achieved here year on year, and it seems to be growing in size every year, it really is down to the credit and work that they have done. You've got a whole different range of aspects. From myself being in the motor trade and working here in Deer Park Motors in Charleville, it just gives us a great incentive to come here to meet the wider groups of people. In terms of the vintage cars and the tractors, that speaks for itself. The amount of people that have come here today to showcase what they have down there and the pride and enthusiasm they take in keeping the history alive with agricultural machinery. It's unbelievable, and there is great credit due to them. That's what makes it different from a lot of other shows, and that's why it has to be spread out over the 2 days.
The vintage section of the show never fails to attract an enormous attendance, proudly displaying all types of vintage engines, including static engines, steam engines, vintage trucks, cars, tractors, motorcycles, and the ever-popular stalls, where all kinds of accessories for these machines are available. Members from the Cortina, Mercedes, Mini and Opel clubs of Ireland all had vehicles on show, hoping to be in with a chance of winning one of the many trophies for best turned out vehicles on the day. Next, it was time to visit some of the trade stands, and staying on the topic of transport, we met with owner of Malik Cycles to find out some of the benefits of the show to local businesses.
Well, I was privileged to get a fine pitch here in the Charleville Show. It's my first time doing it, so I didn't know what to expect, and there is early mornings. We'll be up at 5:30 in the morning to get it ready. But it's the perfect way to get the name Malik Cycles out there to the local people. A lot of people walk into the shop and they say, God, I didn't know you were here, so I said I have to do something about that, and the Charleville Show was the right way to go to let people know that I'm in Malik. I opened the bike shop 6 years ago. I suppose it was the right time. I didn't know cycling was going to get that popular because I've been a cyclist since I was 12 years of age and raced for 20 years. So being a passionate about cycling, building a business around something that I love is really a special thing to do. We started the couch to 50k, and this was especially for people that never cycled before. I was sitting on the couch watching TV every night, and this was an opportunity to get up to the level of doing 50k. And these people were absolutely amazed that they could actually do it. And it's going to change their lifestyle, it's going to make them healthy, it's great mentally as well as physically, and also there's a great social side to it as well, because you meet a lot of people through cycling, and doing something that you learn to love is even better.
The next stall we visited was Aerial View, who provided us with all of the stunning drone shots that we've been showing throughout this feature. We wanted to find out more about drones and learn how to fly one.
I suppose originally I kind of started off flying model aircraft maybe about 20 years ago, and I was doing it for years, and I suppose then the drone came along and I just saw the opportunity and just to go out, maybe make a business out of it, and that's where I am today. There's a lot of rules and regulations first of all, I suppose, with drones, so I suppose you have to go off and do a course, maybe a 2-day course which costs maybe 750 quid, and you've got to do a flight test with the Irish Aviation Authority, and I suppose the drone itself maybe is expensive, but I think there's opportunities out there.
Now, it looks really, really difficult, is it?
I probably should say it is, but it's not. It's quite easy to fly. They're all kind of GPS driven, so like when you take them off, they'll just know their position and they'll hover in the air if you leave the controls go, so they are quite easy, you know. Back in December they kind of changed the rules a small bit for commercial work, whereas before you had to get a licence to do commercial work no matter where you flew, whereas now if your drone is under 4 kgs you don't have to get a licence unless you're flying around airports or other designated areas. But if you're over 4 kgs then you do need a licence. And I think all drones over 1 kg have to be registered as well.
And can you see a future where every single person has a drone like the iPhone?
Yeah, I think you could, yeah, absolutely. I suppose everyone's got a camera and I suppose the price will drop eventually, you know, like everything. Technology gets more out there, the cheaper it will get, so yeah, I suppose it will.
I'm seeing at the moment now on eBay you can get a drone for like €200. Would you recommend for people to buy them?
I suppose for fun maybe, yes, but I suppose for commercial work they probably wouldn't be the best, to be honest with you. You know, maybe spending about €1,000 before you get anything that would kind of get you at the bottom base of starting commercial work. But because the camera is the main thing at the end of the day. You know, I suppose you have all these gimmicks, but if you get a good picture and a good quality video, I suppose that's what you want. So I suppose that's the best thing to go for at the end of the day.
Some of the most stunning aerial shots of the day were at the horse and pony section of the show. Ireland is renowned worldwide for our top quality young horses, and so there was plenty of action for all the family in the show jumping arenas. And our final chat of the day was with last year's Cork Rose Aoife Murphy to find out why the Charleville Show is so significant to her.
So when I was selected as Cork Rose last summer, this is the first event that I came to, so it's lovely to come back as the Cork Rose again this year because we're a couple of weeks later this year selecting the Cork Rose. So it's great, yeah, my family come here every year. It's great for North Cork, and it's just great to be back here now 1 year later, still, you know, meeting everyone, like loads of cousins are here, neighbours, everything. It's lovely.
I suppose the young girls at home watching this now and they would do anything to be a Rose. What advice would you give to them?
I know, sure, when I was younger I used to watch the Rose to Tralee every summer, absolutely adored it, and I used to go down to Tralee and try and get all the autographs and everything. But I would just say, like, it's not a beauty pageant, it's not, you know, a competition, it's just about being yourself, you know, showing off what talents you have, your personality, just being a warm, kind person and doing stuff for the community, like doing charity work and things like that. And it's just about, you know, getting to know people. It's a great community kind of festival and spirit like that. So just, I wouldn't tell any girl to try to be this way, try to be that way, just be yourself. And that's kind of the epitome of a rose, is just every rose is different, so just be yourself, and yeah.
We hope that you enjoyed learning about all of the different attractions at the Charleville Show. That's all we have time for this week, but we'll be back next week with more stories from Cork. In the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at cork@irishtv.ie and keep in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks a million for watching, and we'll see you next week.